Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister. I'm glad that you're here today and glad that we're talking about gambling regulation this afternoon. And more importantly, I'm hopeful that you're going to act swiftly in this regard and take on this, an area which, unfortunately, Minister, has had a free rein at the moment, and which, without the stringent protocols, is wrecking the lives of literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, young and old, male and female, in this country. And they're going to be interested in what you're saying here today. Kid yourself not, they will parse every single utterance that you make. Why? Because the betting industry in this country is worth €10 billion a year, so it's worth their while to be looking in here, looking at what you're saying. For years round this place, I've seen the lobbyists below in the coffee dock walking round this place. Free rein they've had in here as well. €10 billion. Think about that for a minute. We spend €9 billion on education, €3.5 billion on transport, €2 billion on agriculture, but there's nearly €10 billion spent in gambling in this country. And the very sad statistics is the money being spent in casinos, bingo, gambling machines. It exceeds horse racing. Now, someone who has a bad drink problem is unfortunately very recognisable, stumbling around the streets, but a gambling addiction, no, that can be hidden, unfortunately. But in March of this year, Barry Grant from problemgambling.ie, who runs that website, reported a 46% increase in gambling addiction problems during this pandemic. The human cost to it. There are kids going hungry in this country because their fathers, and it's primarily fathers, are gambling their income away, leaving themselves and their dependents destitute. And in turn, that can lead to even further problems within the home. And what the hell the gambling companies think about that? Well, sure, we'll stick up a small, little gambling responsible logo on the small text sumper, and that'll be grand. And the people at the head of these companies, Minister, they're the best paid executives on the face of the earth. We've debates in here about what sec-gens are being paid. The head of a betting firm would wipe their rear end with what a sec-gen is being paid. The head of the betting company, Bet365, Denise Coates, set a new record last year for the best paid executive. €493.5 million a year. €493 million a year. Made out one of the highest earning corporate figures in the world. Now, I made the point a few weeks ago that RTE had an extensive discussion on their popular Sunday Sport radio show with Oisin McConville, who is a high-profile sports star, has toured Ireland to explain how gambling ruined his life and trying to make sure people don't fall into that same hole. But at the end of the debate, the coverage went to the Curragh, where the opening day of the flat was happening, and straight after that race was a message on the radio show that today's race meeting on RTE was brought to you courtesy of Boyle Sports. Sure, that's like going to a place to dry yourself out and the place being sponsored by Guinness. They're laughing all the way. They'd let RTE talk about problem gambling all day. Why? Because the little jingle advertising the sponsor, the betting company, was playing all day long. They think they're untouchable because, quite frankly, at this moment in time, they are. But I know, Minister, that you have taken this project on in terms of gambling regulation with real gusto, and more importantly, that you have the steely toughness to see this through to the end, because they will come after you, Minister. Mark my words, the lobbying factor involved in the gambling world is massive. You mentioned in your speech the technological advancements in the whole betting area. Of course, COVID has been a godsend to these guys. A godsend. It's driving them online. They don't want the bookie shops. They're a hindrance paying rates and staff a cost. You can set up an online account without any age ID verification. Go to get your money out? Ho ho, no, no. You'll need your passport for that. But you can gamble away to your heart's content. And the advancement of online gambling companies means you now target your mobile device with these tailor-made ads. They get you hooked, they keep you hooked. That's what that is. Gone are the days where there would be a €5 coupon on the front of the paper. Now it's an online voucher to your phone. Minister, from my perspective, and I'm someone who enjoys racing and enjoy an awful lot of my former sports journalist, but this is not coming down hard on people who want to have a punt and enjoy a day at the races or Friday night in Dundalk. The companies aren't interested in those punters. What do they want? They want you hooked on cartoon races. Cartoon races. And on top of that, the figures from revenue are quite frightening. 11,000 gaming machine licences issued last year and the year before. So it's crucial when we come to the regulation that there is a wide encompassing view taken of this. We have 1950s regulation for an industry that's operating in the latest algorithm technology available. Finally, Minister, as is the case, and my final point, with any other piece of legislation that comes before the House, the laws can only go so far in tackling any social issue. There's a broader responsibility on everyone in this respect, and in that respect, the sports stars who take very large appearance fees to perform in television and online ads for these companies need to take a long, hard look at themselves, because they are complicit, as are our premier sports clubs in this country. Shamrock Rovers are sponsored by 888, one of the largest sports gambling companies in the world. There's a social duty of care here, and there are not harmless companies, and everyone has a part to play in that. And I say to you, Minister, maintain that steely toughness, and you make sure that you tackle this issue.